It's horses for courses on RPM tonight as Ireland's top rally drivers take their steeds off the roads and onto the racecourse, the horse racing course. The sparkling new Greenmount Racecourse at Patrick's Well outside Limerick is the setting for the RT Communications Rally Sprint, and on a soft Sunday morning the first runners and riders are there, eager to take in the view or what they can see of it, and eager to weigh up the challenge that confronts them. Some of the runners may not be as young, sleek or thoroughbred as those that will take to the Greenmount track in the weeks and months ahead, but this is an occasion for all the family as rallying finds innovative ways to compensate for the foot and mouth restrictions.
In the pre-event build-up, it's time to get tanked up and ready for what promises to be a whole new ball game. Austin McHale is getting ready to put the boot into the opposition. Rally farrier Philip Moynihan is hard at work. Former Tarmac champion Frank Meagher, one of the favourites, doesn't have far to go to read the signs.
How's it going?
He and rival Austin McHale know it's going to be pedal to the metal all the way.
Austin, this racecourse racing has become a whole new form of the sport this year.
Sure, nothing else to do, Plum, unless we go foreign at the moment. But yes, I think Sean Mullally's done a fantastic job here, and the Limerick Motor Club. We were around the track this morning, and it's very good. Not quite as good as Punchestown was good.
No, but you're biased there.
Yeah, no, it's excellent, and I think it'll be a great day. And obviously with the fog here this morning, it's going to be good and warm, and it'll be good days out for everybody.
The McKinstry Motorsports stable is strongly represented with a whole string of Subarus, but one of Kenny's major contenders has gone down injured.
Kenny, every picture tells the story. The black eye has been Maggie been beating you up again.
I think it was a bit like Mike Tyson or some of those guys, but yes, from last weekend in the Welsh we put the gold car off. So.
Right, tell me, it's going to be tremendous competition amongst all the Imprezas and the Legacies, but World Rally cars, can you match them?
It's going to be very difficult to match Austin and Frank and all these other boys now that we're all in equal cars. They'll be out to give me a tanning as well, so we're going to have to try and do our best.
McKinstry and McHale may both be sprint winners already this year, but there's plenty of champion opposition ready and willing to take them on. From the Ford Focus of Frank Meagher to the Subaru Impreza of Niall Maguire. There's the Toyota Celica of Michael Barrable. And then, of course, there's the T-Boy. Ollie O'Donovan has proved something of a revelation since he moved up from a front-wheel drive Ford Escort to one of the McKinstry Subarus.
Ollie, you're some groveler buying the Boss T this time of the morning.
Well, I'm under pressure, so I'm trying to soften him in case I mark it a little bit.
You're having great fun in this Legacy this year.
I am actually. It's a good car, and it's an easy drive car, and it's good fun.
And fun is what it's all about, and the drivers of these rear-wheel drive machines should provide plenty of entertainment on stages in and around the racecourse that are a mix of tarmac and gravel. But this is the first time Greenmount has seen any kind of racing action.
Angus, we've got a unique situation here. We've got a brand new horse race course with its first major event being a motor race event.
Absolutely, it's slightly ironic really that it is actually cars that are going around our course rather than horses. But it's a terrific way for us to dry run the facilities.
It's been a tremendous idea, and Sean, I think motorsport has been a bit lax. It hasn't really realised the extraordinary facilities that there are around the country.
I think it's tremendous to think, that unfortunately Foot and Mouth has brought the situation around. The public love it. It's a great way to get family and get people in general involved in motorsport. And we hope today that everybody will see that we're a good bunch of lads, the competitors love it, and we have a fantastic facility to show that off.
Austin McHale and co-driver Brian Murphy lead the way off the start ramp to begin an event which has brought the Rally Star fans out in their thousands. McHale, who's been to Germany and Poland this year in search of alternative competition, is first on the road. And he's clearly happy to be back in more familiar territory as he guns the WRC Toyota down the tight, dusty tarmac roads that surround the Greenmount facility. So far it looks like any tarmac rally stage in Ireland, narrow, bumpy, jumpy, and between the hedges and walls. It could be Donegal or Killarney. But then it's in towards the racecourse complex, where the road surface changes completely, making tyre choice something of a compromise. McHale may be 5 times tarmac champion, but he and the four-wheel drive Toyota are equally at home on the gravel of the infield sections of the racecourse. Together they speed their way through the dust to post a target time of 3 minutes 28 seconds for the 3-mile stage. Next on the line, former British national champion Kenny McKinstry.
6 right over gravel 50.
With his latest gold-coloured WRC Subaru back in his Banbridge workshop being repaired after that accident in Wales, Kenny has reverted to a left-hand drive Group A Impreza. He's got Declan Tumulty calling the pace notes as we go on board for a driver's eye view of the stage. In the past couple of years, Kenny has spent most of his time rallying in the forests, winning the British national title in 1999. But as a former tarmac champion, he's always a formidable force on tarmac too.
To left and 3 right 50. 1 right 80. Hairpin left.
But now it's the hairpin, and he'll head into the racecourse section.
Hairpin left over gravel 50.
But to get into the racecourse, there's an unusual hurdle to overcome, an access tunnel.
Just slippy. 5 right. Don't cut. 4 left, maybe 100.
Then it's onto the gravel, and a battle for grip as he drives towards the finish. There's one last obstacle to overcome, the dreaded chicanes, as Kenny posts a time 4 seconds slower than McHale. Frank Meagher is next into the action. The Tipperary driver teamed with Anthony Nestor on board their M-Sport built Ford Focus WRC. Frank admitted he struggled to fit the Focus through the tight chicanes, but he set 3rd fastest time, just 3 seconds down on McKinstry. Then it was back to the Subarus, with Irish national champion Niall Maguire and co-driver Paul McLaughlin recording 5th fastest. But they were 4 seconds slower than national championship rivals Michael Barrable and Dermot O'Gorman, who slot into 4th in their Toyota Celica.
And remember the T-boy, Ollie O'Donovan? It's his turn next in the McKinstry Subaru Legacy, and we go on board as David Moynihan calls the pace notes.
10 to 5 left over gravel.
Well, so far so good, but there's trouble ahead for the exuberant Ollie.
Go on, Aaron, go on. Go on, you want to keep going forward? Go on.
No harm done and just a few seconds dropped. But Ollie isn't finished yet. And what was it he said about not damaging the McKinstry Legacy? Just watch.
Right, 10 into spin right. Spin right. And spin left, go on.
Oh, it may take more than a cup of tea to pay for that, but O'Donovan still sets joint 5th fastest time with Maguire.
Go on.
Kevin Barrett, whose Triton Shires company is prominent on a number of the McKinstry Subarus, is 7th quickest with Emma McKinstry on board. No Frank Meagher, but Rory O'Connor in an ex-Meagher Ford Escort WRC, who sets 8th quickest time. Peter McCullough in a more conventional Escort Cosworth spins at the hairpin. Familiar car, not so familiar Subaru driver, Barry Coleman in the ex-Bertie Fisher Impreza. He's 10th. And challenging for Group N honours is James Crippen, winner of the recent Tipperary Rallysprint in his Evo 5 Mitsubishi Lancer. 4-wheel drive and turbochargers are what rallying's all about these days. At least up at the front it is, but some like it the way it used to be. Ed Sinan, for instance. He and co-driver David Docherty are out in their Opel Manta 400, a car which dominated Irish rallying during the 1980s in the hands of men like Billy Coleman, Austin McHale and, of course, Bertie Fisher. Rear-wheel drive with a naturally aspirated engine can still send shivers down the spine of rally veterans with its raucous bark. The Manta remains a highly competitive and entertaining clubman's car. Sinan's smooth style takes him up into the top 15.
In the same bracket, but even longer in the tooth, the Mark II Ford Escort RS of Tom Randalls and Dermot Lynch is not just entertaining, but very quick as well. They set 9th fastest time on the first stage. The BMW M3 was another big Irish rally winner in the past, courtesy of McHale and Fisher. And now Fergal Allen is the man trying to tame it on the increasingly dusty Greenmount stage. And slippery too, as Ed O'Callaghan found out on an earlier test run. But he recovered to carry on. The Manta battered, but still in good running order in the first stage. Car perfect, it says, but Mike Maloney, who has former Clare County hurling boss Ger Loughnane in the co-driver's seat, struggles to find the perfect technique for the hairpin. But one man getting it all right in his front-wheel drive Honda Civic is James Foley. After the first run, he's into the top 10. With all that loose gravel around, the hairpin is starting to catch out a lot of drivers, including Philip Johnson in his Toyota Celica. And Sebastian Stackpool in his Ascona 400 is another driver heading for a bit of trouble at the same spot. But his co-driver should see the funny side of it. He's Pat Shortt from the Dunbelievables comedy group, and he's videoing the whole experience. But Pat Looney is having problems of a different kind in his HSR Vauxhall Chevette. While James O'Rourke fairly dances round the hairpin in his Escort. And Christy Carey waltzes his way down the stage in his Golf. Edward Hallahan performs a half pirouette in his Mark I Escort. The 130-strong field includes at number 126 Irish Rugby International Peter Clohessy and his brother-in-law Nick O'Mara in a Toyota Corolla, as well as Limerick hurlers Ciaran Carey and Mark Foley, who are really trying. Unfortunately for Jerry Keys, he and co-driver Christina Shanahan find themselves stranded with a lack of drive in their little car. There's just room for John Carroll to squeeze through and take the class lead. So less than delighted Christina abandons ship and watches Jerry retreat into retirement. Up at the front after the first run, McHale leads by 4 seconds from McKinstry, with Meagher, Barable and Maguire holding down the next 3 places.
The sun has burnt away the early mist, leaving the huge crowds to enjoy the action under clear blue Limerick skies as McHale leads the way into stage 2. But it isn't all plain sailing for Austin this time around, and although it goes well to begin with, the Corolla picks up a puncture towards the end and he is 3 seconds slower than on his first run. Will the Toyota's flat wheel have opened the door for McKinstry? He's certainly working hard to pull back the deficit from the first stage as we join the Banbridge man and Declan Tumulty in the Triton Subaru.
Left, maybe 100. Caution, 3 right.
It's going well so far, and McKinstry's about to get a lucky break. Someone has opened a door for him at this chicane.
4 left and 3 right, 40.
But there are more chicanes to negotiate, and Kenny demonstrates his car control and precision as he weaves the Subaru through without so much as disturbing a bale on his way to fastest time. Indeed, he is 4 seconds faster than McHale to leave them tied at the top of the leaderboard.
3 left, into 4 right, maybe 350. Chicane right in.
Meagher sweeps through the early part of the stage without any problems. But here come those chicanes again. And as he tries to follow McKinstry's straight line technique, he gets caught out. They may be made of straw, but they can cause considerable damage. Just look at the chunk of front bodywork missing from the Focus. Now it's Ollie O'Donovan's turn and we go in-car with him as he prepares to perform another piece of chicanery.
Tight 2 right, caution 2 left, tight 4 over gravel. Cut the second half, cut the second half. Let's keep it cautioning. 1. Back.
Well, despite this hiccup, O'Donovan moves up the leaderboard to 4th. Michael Barrable develops his own chicane system to stay in 5th. And Niall Maguire slips to 6th. As Rory O'Connor glides his Escort up to 7th. The man he ousts is Kevin Barrett, who drops to 8th. And Barry Coleman sweeps through the hairpin to improve to 9th. Tom Randalls is still in the top 10. But he shares the place with a charging Civic of Foley.
However, they're both coming under pressure from the Midwest Tires Manta of our in-car camera carrier, Ed Sinan. All seems well under control inside the Opel as Sinan drifts it across the gravel in the familiar tail-out style.
200.
Not quite so controlled in the Ed O'Callaghan Manta though. Something's been nibbling the front bodywork. The car perfect is starting to look just a touch imperfect. John O'Leary is getting to grips with his Subaru. But John Hunter finds his Escort Cosworth hasn't got quite as much grip as he thought. John O'Sullivan keeps his Peugeot nicely under control, as Aidan Walsh demonstrates the established Escort cornering technique. But Stephen Carway shows the benefit of four-wheel drive traction to climb to 11th place. Fergal Allen is still going strong in the M3 and is up to 14th. He's one place ahead of the little Opel Corsa of Roland Docherty, who leads his class. Shane McEnany is whirling along nicely in his Ford Puma, second in his class, until the mechanical gremlins strike and the Puma has to be manhandled out of harm's way. Austin's two sons, Aaron and Garth, are also keeping out of harm's way in the little Hondas. But as the stage comes to an end, it couldn't be tighter at the top. McKinstry's fastest time moves him to a tie for first place with McHale at the halfway point, while Meagher is 8 seconds further back in third, ahead of O'Donovan and Barrable.
20. 6 right over gravel.
Every second counts now for a determined McKinstry, and having reeled in McHale on stage 2, he can see the light at the end of the tunnel as he and Tumulty blast through stage 3. McHale is just as determined to re-establish his command at the front, but amazingly he and McKinstry tie for fastest time on stage 3. Maher's focus is still showing the signs of battle, but he does enough to confirm his third position. The man on the move, however, is O'Donovan.
Square right.
He's up on the pace of the leaders. Can he conquer the chicanes this time?
Right here now, get it right. One on it. One.
Almost.
One.
There's another pot of tea to come out of the budget, but it doesn't matter. He's equal fastest with McHale and McKinstry. Barrable is also starting to master the chicanes and comes through safely to remain in 5th place. But Maguire isn't letting anything stand in his way as he chases hard in 6th. Barrett moves up to 7th, but he's over 10 seconds behind Maguire. Ed Sinan and the Manta are still going strongly, but can't quite squeeze their way into the top 10. car perfect? Looking a little imperfect on stage 2? Things are about to get much worse. Mike Maloney has rolled the Escort heavily on stage 3, and although both he and co-driver Ger Loughnane are unhurt, the Escort is now looking much the worse for wear. Not a pretty picture. The whole day has been about fun. The crowds have loved every minute, and the sun has shone. Greenmount Racecourse outside Limerick has certainly pulled out the stops for its first ever slice of racing action, and that includes both types of horsepower. Pat Shortt is enjoying every minute of his unbelievable run with Sebastian Stackpool. He's well into the top 15. Sometimes it all looks too easy. Hope you got that one for the video, Pat. Rugby ace Clohessy is still scrummaging hard in the Toyota. And the Limerick hurlers are hurling their Peugeot nicely, well, most of the time. As we go into the fourth and final stages, the class winners begin to emerge.
The cat challenge section goes to John Carroll and Eugene McGrath. Roland Doherty and Sue Maloney win Class 1 in their Opel Corsa. Ciaran McHale, yes, son of Austin, and Trevor Penn take Class 2 in their Honda Civic. Tom Randalls and Dermot Lynch are third in Class 3 in their Escort, but just miss out in the top 10 place. In fact, they tie on total times with Ed Synan and David Doherty, who claim 11th in their Manta. James and Anne Foley also share the same aggregate total, but they get 10th overall in their Honda Civic on a tiebreaker and win Class 3. Rory O'Connor and Francis Kenny master the chicanes to bring their Escort WRC home in 9th. Barry Coleman and Alan Russell come through in 8th in the ex-Bertie Fisher Subaru. Kevin Barrett with young Emma McKinstry on the pace notes finished 7th.
But there's last stage drama for Michael Barrable and Dermot O'Gorman. The Toyota's kicked into the air by a sudden bump, the impact tearing off the sump guard, but still he finished 6th. Behind former national champion Niall Maguire and Paul McLaughlin. And after all his bumps and bails, Ollie O'Donovan still manages to finish 4th. The tea would have gone flying there. Frank Meagher also hits that bump but gets away with it and takes 3rd. It's been nip and tuck at the top throughout the day. But for Kenny, it's 2nd place.
3 right 50. 1 right 80.
A puncture he picked up on the last stage cost him 6 seconds. And this has handed the lead to Austin McHale. Austin wins the RT Communications Rally Sprint and also picks up the first Bertie Fisher Perpetual Trophy.
We're very happy to have won the event. It's the first time this perpetual Bertie Fisher Trophy, which Bertie I've known for the last 20 years, and you know, I am delighted to have won it, and just for his sake alone, I am very happy.
So what a difference a puncture makes. Kenny McKinstry takes 2nd, but Austin McHale wins the RT Communications Rally Sprint.